You know, thanks to Mayor Booker. And we still have a lot of our program left, and I'm sorry that we had to switch it around a little, but we did want to make it a little bit easier for the mayor. Our next award will be the Roger Starr Award. I'm saying that to sort of cue up the people up there in case they have to do something. So I'd like to introduce Judy Calogero, who's going to introduce our awardee this year. Judy has worked for nearly 30 years in affordable housing as a community organizer and in a variety of government jobs, including serving as state's DHCR commissioner from 2000 to 2006. In January 2007, Judy joined RBC Capital Markets, Apollo Equity Partners, to lead a new Northeast regional office. Judy is a smart and creative colleague, as well as a supportive and loyal friend. Judy Calogero.
Feel free to use my paper if you want.
Thank you, Geraldine, and thank you for offering me your paper, but I wore my heels today, so I'm okay. To Marvin Marcus and all the board members, congratulations on your 70th anniversary, and thank you for having me here today to present the Roger Starr Award. Assemblyman Vito Lopez has great passion for his work, governing, politics, and affordable housing. From his beloved Brooklyn to the halls of the state capitol, Assemblyman Lopez has emerged as one of the strongest leaders in public service today because of his zeal, his willingness to take on difficult issues, and his ability to bring real change, solving problems and getting the job done. I have known and worked with Vito for years, but it was the Rheingold development in Brooklyn that brought Geraldine, Vito, and I together. It was the mid-90s when Vito's long-term vision for Rheingold started to take form, and we witnessed firsthand his commitment to people in need and for a tired neighborhood. A decade later, with the work nearly complete, short of a stray parcel here and there, Rheingold has emerged as a new neighborhood within a neighborhood, providing blocks of affordable rental and ownership opportunities for young families and seniors, a true urban renaissance, and a brownfield no more. Vito is a man who willingly and readily shares his knowledge. He taught at LaGuardia, Malloy, and Empire State Colleges, and Yeshiva University, his alma mater. More important to this organization is how Vito shares his knowledge of the state legislative process, a secret to most. Anytime you walk into Vito's office for a meeting, be prepared for a lesson in government, possibly on how to get a certain bill passed through the legislative process, or how to get money added to an already seemingly unbalanced budget. And don't expect to leave the meeting without a homework assignment. Vito will impart knowledge, but he will also ask for and insist on your continued involvement in the process. For me, it's always best practice to stop by Vito's office first when lobbying at the state capitol. I learn the most, and he sets me on a path to succeed. The results speak for themselves. With Vito's guidance and help, we passed 8 departmental bills in the last 4 years and created 4 new housing and community development programs. Vito leads with strength and purpose. He is refreshingly honest about his intentions and direction, and while you may not always agree with his position, you know where he stands. Maybe, in part, this is a result of the personal health challenges Vito has battled over many years. It is said that fighting cancer gives you great strength. Maybe he is just a natural leader, born to be a public servant. It is a special honor and privilege to bestow the Roger Starr Public Service Award on Assemblyman Vito Lopez. Congratulations.
If I was active in New Orleans, I would take about 4 or 5 people here. You don't have to make any, you don't have to beg, just drag them. Go over to that table and take Amanda Burton, Debbie Van Armaragan, take Geraldine Perrin, and Judy Calogero, and a lot of things will happen, I guarantee it. And if they're reluctant, let me know, all right? we have a lot of stars here, and Geraldine has always been a tough guy. And she said to me that either I have to speak, and often she doesn't like what I say, or I have a choice of singing if Bette Midler doesn't come. And she's not here, so, and if you ever heard me sing, we'd be in a lot of trouble. I appreciate the award. I appreciate the relationship that I have with Geraldine and the whole issue of affordable housing. Geraldine, when we talked a little bit about the brownfield site at Wrangell, you know, Geraldine said, we're going to get some real good people to come and help you out. And I said, all right. And, you know, I really have very little trust. I grew up in the streets, too, bureaucrats. And I said, where are these people? Who are they? She said, well, they're going to come from East Germany. I said, boy, this woman's crazy. And they did come, spent a couple of months with us, did a charrette. We got Columbia University involved. First time I ever did a charrette in New York City. And now we have about 680 units, all affordable. My story is that when I came to Bushwick, people used to take tours of the South Bronx and Bushwick, and foreigners used to come in, and it was a burnt-out community. When I became the assemblyman, there were 1,880 abandoned buildings or lots. Now there are about 30. And I'm really proud. I know there are a lot of business people here and builders. I'm really happy that until recently, every one of those buildings and every one of those units is affordable, real affordable. And because Bushwick has an AMI of $21,000, and what would be the use of building units for $50,000 a year, or $100,000, $120,000? I mean, people would say that's the only way it works, and we have to maximize profits. And I don't want to get thrown out before I finish, but as the neighborhood has changed, though, we've done something, and I've done some stupid things. Because right by Wrangell, there was an empty lot, you know, that we could have bought for $600,000. Not me, but the group. Now it's worth $18 million. So, and that's 4 years later. So if we were smart, we would have bought that lot and built affordable housing. My commitment and my challenge is to do whatever I can and work with the people that I identified and some others in the audience. You know, there's one of the strongest builders, lobbying group, Ernie Carr's here, Sean Donovan. We have a lot of good people, and I think that's part of the issue, whether it's in Newark or New Orleans. We have good people, and we have good programs. The question is, how do we build on that? I spent an hour and a half with the governor on Monday night, bragging about Debbie and Priscilla, trying to manipulate him into giving more capital so that we could actually build more housing. He took the praise for both of them and didn't make a commitment for the capital, but said he'd look into it. You know, so, you know, I enjoy what I do. I'm the Democrat. If I didn't enjoy this, you know, I'm a, you know, political junkie. I like to spend a lot of time. I'm often very tired. One thing, there are 4 people. One of those people are not around. One was Joe Lynch, who's the commissioner, who passed away of cancer. Geraldine, I, and Judy Calogero, we all had cancer at the same time, I don't know, more than 10 years ago. And some of us were told that we wouldn't be here today. And I'm happy I'm here, and I'm happy that all of them are here. And I wish Joe was here, because he was one of the classier people, and he really did a good job. The question is, how do we get enough money into the system to build and stimulate housing so that builders could make a profit? Ridgewood Bushwick in Bushwick built a little bit more than 4,800 units of housing in Bushwick itself. And probably by the time 2 or 3 years from now, they'll probably have 6,000 units. A community that lost 26,000 people actually has 18,000. And when you talk about city planning, and this was before she was into city planning, you have to scope out a neighborhood. And when people do rebuild a neighborhood, whether it's in New Orleans or whether it's in Newark, we made sure that we had a youth center because we didn't have one, and that cost about costs $14 million, and it's a 40,000 square foot state-of-the-art youth center. The nursing home in Aura was moving to Manhattan Beach, so we have the first Latino non-for-profit nursing home, employs about 500 people, the Buena Vida Nursing Home. This was all laid out by Angela Battaglia, and just recently, the State Health Department yesterday morning made a commitment with HUD to do maybe the second of its kind, and we work with the governor's office, and they're really helpful, to do an affordable assisted living project in a 202, which will be built. And so what Angela has done, and what we've worked to do, is try to rebuild a neighborhood. So the challenge is not only affordable housing, it's how do you do the other things that you need. And I know the people here build, advocate, and support these concepts. I know enough, if you're too pushy, you get yourself in trouble. I'm probably, and I sometimes vent to some of the people close to me that, boy, you know, it seems like every day I'm in trouble. And it's only one person that has a little bit of confidence to tell me, but maybe you're putting your foot in your mouth every day, and maybe you have to back off a little bit. So I'm concerned now about the height of the Domino Sugar site, and what else would I get? Some conflict from it. And so, but I'm not going to change, and I'm going to try to do what I think is right. But the group that you're involved with, and your organization, CHPC, is very, very fortunate. 70 years old, you couldn't have picked a better, more dynamic, and impressive individual than Geraldine Perrin, a class act. And so you're fortunate to know her, work with her. She borders on, and I said I would take her down to New Orleans. And she likes to travel. The only thing is she went down here and left. But you got to make her stay there. Now, if you have any problems, we could work something out. We could do a moratorium of any support for her organization unless she spends, we can get her a Vista job. And then once you get her, you get Amanda Burton. You say, look, you did planning in New York City. They don't need it that much. Go to the mayor. And listen, it might be the perfect time to get her to go down there, because the mayor seems to be, but now I'll put my foot in my mouth, traveling throughout the country. So if he sends Amanda down there, you may get her for 1 year. You know, if I get a call later from Shiki saying, what a great idea. And so we get Amanda and we get Sean Donovan to go down there. And I'm serious, because your point was a very good one. The problem with poor neighborhoods and certain communities, they just don't have the people and the infrastructure. That, you know, there are things out there, but we can't access it. And often the people that can do it are not the ones that really are in the areas that they need it the most. So we could work on that, all right? And then I would talk to the governor, because he has aspirations, not immediately, and say, Debbie would be a great person to spend. Listen, start off with Mardi Gras and go for the whole year. Not a bad idea. So I would do that. And although I'm joking, but I'm serious, because getting good technical people, if we did not get through Geraldine, those urban studies people from East Germany, I think one was from Toronto, we would have never put together this, probably at the end of the day, if Debbie continues the process, probably 800 units. We came in second nationally in a Brownfields award, because it's on the Brownfield site. And the reason we came in second was HPD's fault and Angela's office fault, because we lost to 10-mile highway. I said, how can we lose to a highway? This is about affordable housing and environment. They said they gave out a lot of propaganda, and since we can't give out anything, that's why I didn't eat, because I didn't know if it was worth $75 or not. So, but they came in second nationally, But if you ever, we have people from China and other places, and if ever a group of people from New Orleans wants to come and look at some of the things that we do, we'll be only glad to do that with you, only because we can learn from Newark and New Orleans, and some of your people could learn how we rebuilt the neighborhood and brought back 25,000 people. You might say, look, Vito, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, but we've learned a lot from what other people have done. We've learned, Geraldine didn't say this, and Judy didn't, and Judy's an all-star. And, you know, she doesn't even have a job right now. She's like a consultant, so I'd manipulate her. I would not let her leave here. But they are brilliant people, and they've taught me a lot, and they've given me a perspective, and I enjoy that. I was very sad when Geraldine was going to move on. Debbie Van Armeragen was a staff person of mine, and so everyone says I'm pretty aggressive and tough. Most of the time she told me what to do as a staff person, and she doesn't back off, tough young lady, but really very dynamic. So you have a good cast of people here. I want to thank everyone for the award. I want to thank the organization. Without organization structures, you can't do how. We need more of a presence in the housing market, and people should have a right to talk from their perspective. I will not go into it, but we're closing down, you know, pretty soon in the next week or two on 421A, and I know that I should end with that because then I'll be uninvited, and probably I'll start singing now, if Geraldine doesn't mind. Well, thank you very much for the award.